Hello, good morning, or good evening whenever you are watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine, and today we are talking about, I can't even say recent reads, just my reads that happened somewhat recently. I haven't put out a recent reads video since May. I think my last recent reads covered February through April. I unfortunately am a completionist, and while I very well could just skip all those other months and go straight into November, that's obviously not going to happen because I can't do that. So we're going over all the books that I read from May through November. It's going to be a lot, and all of these reviews are going to be very, very short. I'll put timestamps down below for the genres. So if there's a particular genre you're wanting to see, go ahead and check that out. And if you hear about a book that you're like, Catherine, you should do a full in-depth review, I'd absolutely be down. Go ahead and let me know down below. So in this video, I will be talking about 81 books. And I know you're like, Catherine, you could at least split this up between 2 videos. No, it's not gonna happen. We're doing it all in one video. There was one DNF. I can't even keep track of which, the rest of the audio, ebook, physical books, because there were a lot that I both read and listened to, and some that I read partly on ebook and then partly physically, so we're just skipping that part. I can talk about the genres though. We have 19 historical romances, 33 contemporary romances, 3 dark romances, 5 fantasy romances, 3 romance novellas, 3 young adult fantasies, 10 YA contemporaries, 3 graphic novels, 1 literary fiction, and 1 nonfiction. So as you can see, I'm just a super diverse reader, reading all the genres clearly. There are 4 books that I read as part of the book club that I'm a part of with Sarah from Sarah Shells, Jayla from Lala Loves Lit, Amanda from Ginger Snap Reads, and the Roomies from the Roomies Digest, Mo and Christine. We are going all the way back to Deceived by the Gargoyles by Lillian Lark. This was my pick, clearly. I don't think anyone really appreciated it as much as I did. It features a polyamorous relationship between 3 gargoyles and a librarian witch. I love the emphasis on communication and what that brought to the dynamic between the 4 of them. It also has started my obsession with gargoyle romances. Love them, so much fun. Then we read The Half Orcs Maiden Bride by Ruby Dixon. We love Ruby Dixon in this house, clearly. It's an arranged marriage book, and I loved how caring Akor is, and of course I loved Turnup, the side character there. I definitely want to read, because I think this is just a novella in a larger universe, so I'll probably be reading the other books in that universe. Then we read 365 Days by Blanka Lipinska. It kind of solidified that the traditional mafia / kidnapping romances are not my thing. Just not for me. However, I do want to say some of the translation was clearly just not good. It wasn't originally written in English. So I don't know how much is to blame on the writing and how much is to blame on the translation of what I didn't like about it. Then we read Whispers in the Dark by Letitia Newton. This ended up being the book I DNF'd. It was weirdly slow paced. There'd be a lot happening and then there wouldn't be. And again, just dark romances, not really my thing. Monsters, sure, but if it's dark, not as much. I did, unfortunately or fortunately, depending how you look at it, I did not read Throttled by Lauren Asher, which was I think the August or September read that our group did. I just was super busy that month and wasn't able to read it, so whoops, didn't do that. Moving on to the historical romances. So first I read books 1 through 6 in the Victorian Rebel series by Kerrigan Byrne. Overall with this series, I really liked it. It's definitely more of a grittier romance. It features higher class ladies who have these secrets that they're trying to hide, and then men who are on the wrong side of the law. And they all kind of have a sort of mystery element to them, which I really enjoyed. These were all narrated by Derek Perkins. I don't normally like books narrated by men unless it's like a dual POV. I don't know, like whenever men try to voice women voices, it just doesn't really work. He got a lot better though from like book 1 through 6, so there is that. Starting with The Highwayman. Ironically, this is the exception to me disliking the kidnapping trope, mostly because it's like a second chance romance with like a marriage of convenience, and it was like just too good. I really liked it. The Hunter is an assassin romance. I loved the dynamic between Christopher and Millie, just super fun. The Highlander is a fan favorite for a reason. It's so good. You got a demon Highlander, rough, gruff, gotta love it. And she is a governess. It just has some really great like her comfort moments that made me tear up and cry. It's fine. The Duke is a second chance romance. Gotta love those second chance romances with an injured hero, and of course she helps nurse him, and it's again just very good. The Scott Beds His Wife. I did not like this one for a similar reason from like a past Kerrigan Byrne one, where I don't love mistaken identity. It's not really a thing that I enjoy. The Duke with the Dragon Tattoo. Our hero is just a little too alpha male for me, but also like pirates, so like you win some, you lose some. Moving on, I read The Bride Goes Rogue by Joanna Shue. This one is narrated by Kit Swan, who is beautiful, lovely, so good. It is an arranged marriage with a bit of a twist to it, which was a lot of fun. The main character is Catherine. Gotta love a Catherine. And she like, I loved her. She was just very like fierce, and I adored that. A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall is probably one of my favorite books of the year. I love the prose in this book and just the overall relationship dynamic. I also appreciated like the lack of toxic masculinity from Justin. It was so good. Highly recommend this one. Heartbreaker by Sarah MacLean. Every single Sarah MacLean book just gets better and better for me. Adelaide and Claiborne just have such great tension, and I loved the road trip vibes in it. It was just so much fun. Always Be My Duchess by Emily Howard. This is narrated by the queen herself, Mary Jane Wells. Gotta love. Super swoon worthy. Just has incredible banter and chemistry. I then listened to all of Eloisa James's fairy tale series. So each of these books are based on a different fairy tale. All of these were narrated by Susan Durden, who is also a fantastic narrator, very classic in the historical romance genre. So starting with A Kiss at Midnight. A little bit of a bonkers plot, to be honest. If you think too much about it, you'll be like, what? Also, I loved the chemistry, but it's an older historical, so some of the consent, you're like, is this really, I don't know if this works, but some of it was also really fun. I don't know. It's harder judging these older historicals. When Beauty Tamed the Beast, I loved. Again, it's a fan favorite, and for a reason, because it's so good. I describe it as Dr. House set in like the Regency period with elements of Beauty and the Beast to it. Has like perfect Grumpy Sunshine dynamic that I just loved. Once Upon a Tower is a marriage of convenience, and it had a decent amount of groveling, which I do love. The Ugly Duchess is a friends to lovers. It took some weird turns. Normally I'm like into pirates being involved, but this one was just, I don't know, I felt like our couple wasn't together for enough of the book, honestly. And finally in the series, The Duke Is Mine. It was so messy but like kind of in a fun way, and I did love the chemistry between our two main characters, but a lot of the other stuff was just, it was messy. If you like a messy romance, sure. I then read A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera. This is narrated by Nikia Okoye. fabulous narrator. Oh my gosh, I'm definitely gonna try and find some other books that she's narrated because she just had such an incredible like storytelling voice. This book also is probably a new favorite of the year. It had just beautiful chemistry between our two main characters, Luz and Evan, and it had a really like dynamic subplot with a fantastic friend group that like makes me want to continue on with the series when the next books come out. The Queer Principles of Kit Webb by Cat Sebastian. This was narrated by Joel Leslie. I did not love his narration. I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't know. There was like some weird voices going on there. I'm not a fan of like voices. I don't know how to describe it. Like when narrators change qualities of their voice, yeah, but when they put on a voice, no. The book itself, very sweet, a little bit bonkers as well. There were like some things where I'm like, what is happening? But I love it. Overall, it resulted in just a great time. I then read the sequel, The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes, which I loved. Also by Cat Sebastian, narrated by Joel Leslie. Reluctant Allies. Be gay, do crime. 5 stars, no notes. Finally, in the historical romance genre, I read The Duke Heist by Erica Ridley. This was narrated by Moira Quirk. I really enjoyed her narration as well. The family dynamic alone in this book is what sold me. I liked the romance, but like the family was just so much fun and so interesting to read about that I'm excited to read the other books in the series. Okay, we're doing contemporaries now. First was The Marriage Game by Sarah Desai. This was narrated by Sunila Nakini. She was a fine narrator. Didn't love the book though. It's the kind of hate to love relationship where I just don't see how the relationship is gonna like work out. Like they have that like physical attraction, but more than that, I don't really see anything else. On the flip side, Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. Absolutely incredible book. Overall, just loved Claire and Delilah's chemistry and their relationship, and just everything about this book is so good. The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. This was narrated by Adrienne Walker. Had some fantastic fake dating and, in my opinion, some really great ace rep. Never Been Kissed by Timothy Javotsky. This was narrated by Mark Sanderlin. I didn't totally love the beginning of the book. And it had just a little bit too much miscommunication for my personal taste, but it was like cute. It was a cute book. Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. This was narrated by Kristen Singh. I saw this book all over TikTok. I wasn't too sure about it, and I ended up falling in love with it. Another second chance romance with like dual timeline. Every single time Gabe said, "It's you," my heart just like exploded. It's so good. Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I loved this book. Another one of my favorites of the year. Y'all are getting a preview of an upcoming video of favorites of the year. Super cute friends to lovers romance. Totally has the vibe of Set It Up on Netflix, which is one of my comfort movies. Loved the relationship, loved the dynamic, loved the talk about mental health in relationships. I'm So Not Over You by Kosoko Jackson. This is narrated by Timothy Bell Reese. Fantastic narrator in my opinion. I loved the second chance romance in it, although it had a little bit too much miscommunication, as things sometimes do. I don't mind miscommunication. I just feel like there needs to be a reason for it, and this one felt like there just wasn't a reason at some times. But there was a lot of character growth, which I really appreciated. Set on You by Amy Lee. This is narrated by Carolyn Kong. Loved this book. Very much a sort of like will they, won't they type vibe to it. Very similar miscommunication actually to I'm So Not Over You. Again, didn't mind it too much, similar to that one. Just at times I just wanted to be like, ooh, talk to each other. Also super excited for the next book in the series. It's going to be about a bookstagrammer. Like, it's written for us. Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armez. This was narrated by Scarlett Hayes. super popular book talk book. I get it. I like understand why it's popular. It's like very like just tropey, fun book. It has fake dating, only one bed, lots of pining. I had a good time with it. Like, honestly, is it beautiful, like amazing work of fiction? No, but like I had a fun time while reading it, so like whatever. In the Event of Love by Courtney Kay. Some of the dialogue was a little bit awkward in this one, honestly, and it got like a little too info dumpy at times, which is weird for a contemporary, but very cute, queer, like Hallmark like movie, Hallmark like book like movie. I don't know. Shipwrecked by Olivia Dade. I have a lot of feelings about this one because Olivia Dade is one of my favorite authors. I was very disappointed by this book, which was really unfortunate. It's because I know Olivia Dade can do incredible characters and incredible deep characters, and I did not feel that for this one, which was unfortunate. The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This was narrated by Emily Elliott. Fantastic narrator, by the way. I'm probably going to try and find some other things she's narrated. With this book, Rachel Lynn Solomon has like definitely been bumped up to like an author that I just love her writing style. She just writes such like hyper relatable characters. Like they're just so relatable and so real. And this book had me crying at inappropriate times, which is fine. A Proposal They Can't Refuse by Natalie Kanya. This was narrated by Valentina Ortiz. I love the family aspect of it. Really fun, just fake dating friends to rivals to lovers, which is a fun dynamic. Yeah, good time. 1,000 Miles by Bridget Morrissey. This was narrated by Brittany Presley, Jonathan Todd Ross, Jordan Diaz, and Saskia Marleveld. This book had some like podcast elements to it, so I love that they actually use like a full cast of like characters for that podcast element. It just made it so much more fun to listen to in audiobook form. This is another new favorite book of mine. So good. I loved the second chance, friends to strangers to lovers type vibe to it. Again, incredibly relatable characters, and it had me crying at inappropriate times, which is just like my thing. Definitely perfect for you if you are a fan of People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Ramon and Julieta by Ilana Quintana Albertson. This is narrated by Alexander Armando and Vanessa Vasquez. Honestly, it was a little bit disappointing, but I don't know if it was the book's fault. I think it was a me thing, and it's because it's an insta-love. It's a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It should be I just was expecting more, and I didn't really get the chemistry between our Ramona and Julieta characters. And I feel like it was a little bit too much like, haha, we're a Romeo and Juliet retelling. Like it was too meta at times, and I didn't like that. The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. This was narrated by Rebecca Moza and Alistair Hainsbridge. Loved them. Very good narrators. Super good. So fun. Fake dating, opposites attract. I just love Mia Sosa's characters. I think she writes really fantastic characters. A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings is narrated by Emily Lawrence and Vikas Adam. There were some really sweet moments in this book between our main characters, Harper and Dan, but it was a little too insta-love for me. I don't like insta-love. I can get behind insta-attraction, don't really like insta-love. I did like the discussion around like anxiety and mental health in this book, though. I thought that was really interesting. Do You Take This Man by Denise Williams. This was narrated by January Lavoie. I haven't heard something narrated by January Lavoie in a little while, so it was fun. I've missed her. She's a great narrator. Also Teddy Hamilton, both of them together were just fantastic. I honestly loved how messy these characters were. Their relationship felt really like organic. There was a lot of miscommunication, but again, I don't mind miscommunication, and I felt like they grew and like learned to like work together throughout the book, which is all I can ask for. Meg and Joe by Virginia Cantra. This was narrated by Shanna McMinkus and Carissa Backer. Honestly, I should have DNF'd this. I don't know why I didn't. I guess I was curious. I wanted to know. I love retellings, but like you have to keep certain things about characters true to the original story. Otherwise, it's like, is this really a retelling? Yeah, I hated the characterization of both Meg and Jo in this one. It's a Little Women retelling, by the way. And yet, for whatever reason, I decided to pick up the sequel, Beth and Amy. I don't know why. I liked it a little more, I guess. This was narrated by Jeanette Metzger, Brittany Presley, who I love, and Catherine Tabor. It was fine. I did appreciate the discussion around like eating disorders and stuff, so it was a little bit better. A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This was narrated by Joy Nash and Sebastian York. Loved this book. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It's like a Hallmark movie, but like so much spicier. And the two main characters are a couple of disaster bisexuals. 10 out of 10. No notes. Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. This was narrated by Lee Daniels. It was fine. I don't know. I felt like it was trying to do a little bit too much, and so it did everything kind of mediocrely, if that makes sense. Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is the sequel to Delilah Green. Loved this book. I think I even liked it more than Delilah Green. It is the perfect like steamy queer small town romance. Such a good sequel. So good. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I am a Kennedy Ryan stan. Always. Her books always slap. The relationship between the characters are so raw and so real and so beautiful. Also was just like incredibly steamy at times and had a really fantastic friend group that makes me like want to read the rest of the book. So there we go. But God, I love Kennedy Ryan's writing. You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by Mark Sanderlin. This was cute. It was a cute Hallmark like queer rom-com. Like it was fun, and I did really appreciate the anxiety representation in it. I thought that it was really good. Almost through the contemporaries, which means we're almost halfway through. Actually, we might be more than halfway through. I have no idea. Bromance Book Club. I read 4 of the books in the Bromance Book Club series by Lyssa Kay Adams. I haven't read the 5th one yet. I'll probably read it this month because it is a holiday book. The first one is narrated by Andrew Eden and Maxwell Caulfield, and the rest are just Andrew Eden. I really liked this series overall. For the first one, I did want everyone to just go to therapy. I spent most of my time being like, you know, if y'all went to therapy, I think so many of your problems would be solved. I'm just saying, couples counseling, anyone? That kind of was the overall theme for all these books, where I'm like, I think everyone here just needs therapy. I did love that all the bros were like talking about their feelings and like trying to break through that toxic masculinity. I love that. But I think that like they do also need to talk to a professional. You know? For the second one, Undercover Bromance, I think this is my second favorite of the series as well. Very classic, like reluctant allies to lovers type vibes, which is just, it's catnip for me. Again, therapy. Crazy Stupid Bromance. Cute, but a kind of basic friends to lovers. And like the end, kind of spoiler, I was pissed at our main female character at the end. I just feel like Alexa made like a really stupid decision, and she's a much better person than me. I think that's what it boils down to. She's a much better person than I am. Finally, Isn't It Bromantic? Definitely my favorite. Vlad deserves everything in this world. He is too precious. He deserves all the good thing, all the best cheese. He's so good. He did write a book in this book, and the book was kind of awful though. Like you get snippets of the book and it's so bad. I hope he gets a good editor. I don't know how to feel about that. Finally, I read the Twisted series by Anna Huang. These were all narrated by Cindy Kay and Aiden Snow, and I listened to the first 3 on audiobook, and then I physically read the 4th one. So Twisted Love, it's a brother's best friend romance, and I didn't necessarily love some of the like relationship dynamic in this one. The writing was really good though. And if an author can make me look past certain like aspects where I'm like, ooh, I don't really like that. Because the writing is so good that I think that's a great book. Also, amazing grovel scene. Oh, so good. Twisted Games is a princess and a bodyguard relationship. Oh my god, the tension between Bridget and Reese, incredible. I just loved how like protective Reese was, but also how strong Bridget was. I thought that it created a great dynamic. Twisted Hate is a best friend's brother. It's a hate to love. I don't like bully romances, and this one kind of leaned a little bit too far, but they did kind of bully each other. I don't know. Again, there were just certain things in there where it was like, ooh, oh, not really my thing. But the chemistry, so good. Finally, Twisted Lies. I shouldn't have liked this as much as I did, considering Christian like borderline stalked Stella. But you know what? Things played out in a way that I did like, and I really liked it. And the forced proximity of their relationship, oh, so good. Anyway, great series. All right, we are finally moving on to fantasy romances. We're like, wow, I really did power through that. Actually, no, we still have a ton more to go through. Don't get too cocky, Catherine. Okay. Fantasy romances. Back's a Witch by Lana Harper. This was narrated by Jeremy Carlisle Parker. Question for the class. Have you watched John Tucker Must Die? Great movie, by the way. And did you think like, could have had a little bit more magic? And also I think two of the girls should have fallen in love. That's this book. So much fun. I really liked it. I did read the sequel, From Bad to Cursed. This was narrated by Meg Price. Two lovers having to overcome a like centuries old family feud. Hot. All of this set to the background of Beltane. Even hotter. Loved it. So good. Last in the fantasy romance. I just realized I have to say this title out loud. Oh, why do I do this to myself? Okay, I read, it's called Titan, a gargoyle daddy dom romance. It's by Gillian Graves. It's a great book. Surprisingly, fun heist vibes. And also the title says the rest. Fantastic. Really great writing. Some dark romances. Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert. I really liked it, but it's probably my least favorite of the Dark Olympus series. Honestly, it just had more plot than I was expecting. I don't know. American Queen by Sierra Simone. This was narrated by Stephanie Rose. I did not like this. Listen, I can appreciate Sierra Simone's writing, especially after having read Merry Little Meet Cute. I did not like the power dynamic between this. It felt so ick to me. I was mad though because it left it on a cliffhanger, and so then I was like, shoot, I have to start the next one. Actually, does that count as a DNF? I DNF'd a second book, American Prince, because I couldn't. Not my vibe. I read a couple romance novellas, starting with Little Slice of Hell by Cleo Evans. This is the start of a long series of romance novellas, all monster romances, kinda, or supernatural romances. I don't think they all count as monster romances. I love the idea of this like coffee shop setting up supernatural dates. I'll probably read the rest of the series because they're all under 100 pages and they were fun. Envy. Why did I pick this up? The 7 Deadly Curvy Girl Sins by Kelsey Calloway. Could not tell you a single plot point. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, so it couldn't have been like that bad. Halloween Hero by Alec Lake. I genuinely read this book to fulfill a prompt on our bingo board for our Broke Bitches book buying band bingo board. From what I remember, I didn't hate it. I don't think I liked it, but I didn't hate it. You know what I mean? Moving on. We're in the young adult books now. A little bit safer territory here. Why sci-fi/fantasy? Complicated love story set in space. This is written by Sean David Hutchison. This is narrated by Kevin R. Free, Gibson Fraser, and Candace Thaxton. I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities in the audiobook narration of this book. Yeah, honestly, I really liked the book itself. There was a couple confusing things, but that's just because I have no thoughts when I read sometimes. And so I had to like be like, wait, what? What? Really cool concept though. Audiobook fell flat. I think there was a lot of missed opportunity. Namesake by Adrienne Young. This book took me over a year to read. Over a year. And it has, through no fault of its own, literally just happened to be the book that I like made the switch from fantasy to romance during, and it just got set aside several times because I kept on being like, yeah, fantasy. I'll come back to it. It was good. I really liked it. I didn't like it as much as the first one, but I do really love Adrienne Young's world building and her characters. I think that is the thing that like makes her books so good. Once and Future by Corey McCarthy and A.R. Campata. This is narrated by Lauren Fortgang. Did I read the second one? I think I started the second one, and then I may have actually also DNF'd that one. Wow, I did not do a good job of keeping track of what I was reading. All the characters annoyed me. But I did appreciate the casual queerness in the books. YA Contemporaries, let's go. Home Field Advantage by Dahlia Adler. This is narrated by Natalie Noundes and Laurie Prince. Love Natalie as a narrator. She is so good. And I love this book. I thought it was super cute and I love the chemistry. City of Shattered Light by Claire Wynn. This is narrated by Sarah Beth Pfeiffer. I really, really love this book as well. Again, lots of like casual queerness in a... Wait a second. This is a sci-fi. Why did I put it here? Okay, add one more sci-fi to the sci-fi fantasy section. Anyway, it was really fun. And I think the sequel is finally coming out this year, which I'm super excited about because it ended on fantastic cliffhanger. Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. This is narrated by Maria Lattis. I thought it was a really interesting exploration of identity in general. My only complaint is that her friends, Ophelia's friends, kind of sucked. Pumpkin by Julie Murphy. This is narrated by Chad Burris. I enjoyed it. It was a very basic coming of age story, very like find yourself type thing. It was a good time though. Like I like not everything has to be new, and it, you know what I mean? Sometimes things can be basic. I Kiss Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I love this book. I did want to slap Chloe in the face sometimes, but like in a very loving way. Definitely had like Paper Town vibes, but make it queer. Like Paper Town by John Green. Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is narrated by Dean Atta. Love. It's a book in verse. It reminded me, oh, I really like books in verse. Another great like coming of age, like exploration of identity type. A Show for Two by Tashi Bouyan. This is narrated by Adriana Delwari. Unfortunately, this book did not give. I was so excited about it because I was seeing some TikToks, as one does. And I just felt myself getting really frustrated by the main character, and I didn't feel any chemistry between our like two love interests. Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan, narrated by Nora Hunter and Bailey Carr. I really liked Morgan and Ruby's dynamic. I thought they were very well fleshed out characters. Melt With You by Jennifer Dugan. This is narrated by Jeremy Carlisle Park. I didn't like this one as much as Some Girls Do. It was entirely like based on miscommunication, which again, I don't mind miscommunication, but if that's like all the book is, there needs to be more. Finally, in the young adult, we have Does My Body Offend You by Myra Cuevas and Marie Marquardt. This is narrated by Victoria Virel and Elizabeth Evans. I read this as part of Noelle 7 Pages book club. You can see a full live show. It's going to be over there, isn't it? Over there. You can see a full live show where we talk about these books. It was really good. Had some really important conversation in there about like activism, and especially like teen activism. And why school uniforms suck. Getting into graphic novels, I read Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker, Wendy Zhao, and Jomette Gill. Super cute werewolf sapphic witch romance with a little bit of mystery. Very like cozy fantasy vibes. Patience and Esther by Sarah Winfred Searle. Really cute sapphic Victorian romance between two servants. Very like upstairs, downstairs, Downton Abbey type feel to it. Love the art, but there was like some transitions between like time. There was like time jumps that didn't make sense to me, and it made me super confused. Lara Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Marika Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell. Really like the message of like breaking off those toxic relationships and not letting anyone, you know, make you feel like you're less than. Super great. And I love the art. Literary fiction. I read a classic. What? I know, crazy. I read A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I'm not normally one to read classics, but this like sort of coming of age slice of life story, it made me feel so many things about like womanhood and community, and it was so good. And finally, for the nonfiction, I read The Unlikely Thru Hiker by Derek Lugo. Made me want to drop everything and hike the AT, which is not good. But the book was good, so, you know, there's that. I feel like this was basically a yearly wrap up of all the books I read for like more than 6 months. So, actually, no, exactly 6 months. There you go. A 6-month wrap up of the books that I've been reading this year. Like I said before, if any of these books you want to hear a more in-depth review, go ahead and let me know down below. I am very happy to. And stay tuned because I will be talking about my favorite books of the year very soon. I'll be posting a video. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this and more videos from me, go ahead and hit subscribe and be sure to turn on the bell icon so you get notified every single time that I post. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, bye!